pressing right on into the main service. Proverbs chapter 21 is what we're looking at today. Verse 9 through 16. Proverbs chapter 21, 9 through 16. I'll read it through in English, and then we'll make our way back through it. We'll read it through in Navajo, and then make our way back through Kajabi Nadadika after that. Verse 9, it says, better to dwell in a corner of a housetop than in a house shared with a contentious woman. The soul of the wicked desires evil. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. When the scoffer is punished, the simple is made wise. But when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked, overthrowing the wicked for their wickedness. Whoever shuts his ears to the cry of the poor will also cry himself and not be heard.
Yes.
A gift in secret pacifies anger, and a bribe behind the back, strong wrath. It is a joy for the just to do justice, but destruction will come to the workers of iniquity. A man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the assembly of the dead. Asanesad Bichei Hotsa Konepich Haranjito Yat Eta Kin Berate Be Benast Ate Asa Haranje Aragoyat E Denedo Yashoni Bahanki at Yenizin Akoto Jobako Yilke Hatini Ba Akonzin Anasht Atchit Bidiliago Didne Do Hoyani E Hodoyan Ado de Nehoyani Nanestrako Il Erzen Be Hodole Deneta Quickie at Edo Yada Shoni Hosh Nahas Anigi Yan Sekis Adich Dailzihi Benina Digin God Ahoshtin Yopne Akodor Din Yopne Bod 바다하죠 바이 다 차고 베체 제 어코스들 칼리 아호스도 지차도 근데 아도 그때도 뜻이다 나훈 있네 엘리에고 베도 하치다 아도 이기 좀 니고 이기시 하치 네도 쇼시 네도 쇼 또 헤도 또 하다 알인고 그게 아다 벨다호죠 근데 또 야다 쇼고 아다 니히 다비초 데네베 아키티 티히 이찬이야 오케이 데네도 베이티 티 이찬이야 에데네다네스 나니 베트하게 호질로 It is better to live in a corner of a roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. Nida. Denessa estane sahal iko sa tsaje go. Asati kin bagade isebo adet kerjet injbo yat janila. It is so true, Shania, especially for the men. We tend to run and hide. So there's within Western culture, the garage is usually the men's domain. Hastui aden dadi la aden dadi but sa horno kada but
maybe that's why they invented the man's cave.
Man's cave is
not the doghouse.
One of the families the men, from what I hear, the men they would go to Tache. They would hang out at the Tache. So that was a little refuge for them. So it makes so much sense. Yeah, he says it's better to live in a corner of a roof than to share a house with someone that's contentious. That word contentious, it means to create strife. So that you cannot to create that tension, that strife. He says it's better to live on a corner of the house, in a corner of the house, at the roof. In the time that it's written, indeed, that in Israel, they have homes that have flat roofs. Are called. They can make they create stairs to get up to the roof, and they can sit up there and enjoy the evening and the coolness of the day up on top of the roof. So that's where that whole it's better to live in a corner of the roof than in a house shared with a contentious woman. So that word woman in the Hebrew, the word that got used, it can mean wife or it can mean female. So and then verse 10, the soul of the wicked desires evil. That moves us, that directs our life, that has a lot of say in how we conduct our life or how we live our life. Jesus, when he was in ministry, it's from the heart that come the issues of life. That word soul, in the Hebrew, the word that was used, it means that they had a concept where in the unseen, in the depths of us, there's a seat of emotions. From the inner self, or the heart of the wicked, or the unseen part of the wicked. That word wicked, we see that in Proverbs a lot. And what he's addressing is that word wicked, it means a condemned criminal. That's the word that he uses. And who does he call that? As we made our way through our Proverbs, when we started, we began to discover who he was calling the wicked. Those were the ones that didn't want anything to do with God. In God, they've renounced God. They want nothing to do with God. People that have committed themselves to that mindset, wicked. So he has a certain label that he places on people that want nothing to do with God. The ungodly things, the things that God does not approve of. They desire it. They long for it. They incline themselves to it. They desire it. They crave it. They yearn for it. His neighbor finds no favor in his eyes. Opa iko niliki birahun kehat inende ye yenalish ye birah ayoli ye yichnahushna. So that's what he's saying. That verse 11, when the scoffer is punished, ona anahat nila the neck at all. O anat tib go to nila. That word punished, from the Hebrew, the word that was used, it means to be fined, to be to face a fine, a penalty, a monetary penalty. Chayda do ko ani ko behas ani ik ko ik enna ilyago jo akob ilyai kodoich na khayekha da siko e do ko zadan ko yidina ahne eteltke ebenina beso bara nel. If people see that, they can change their ways. See, when a scoffer is punished, the naive the ones that haven't discovered the truth of God, they become wise. Jo khojibik is not jehen tibet ya khait evada beas ani bahdicht yinina beso ek net lago khodo kegon jeto besti best bikhn jilte khamnat khod I koko sho ashonda satanizi jonila. That's very practical, huh? Yep. See, that's why we have the court systems. That's why we have the laws that we have. If we don't follow through and enforce the laws, that only encourages more bad behavior. So that's properly using the things. It can bring wisdom to the ones that need to have that wisdom in their life. But when the wise is instructed, he receives knowledge. The wise, those are the ones that turn to God, turn to His wisdom, and begin to learn from Him. The wisdom of God. They've made it a part of their lives. So he calls them the wise. One that is living that way. If a person that's taken God's wisdom and made it a part of their lives, they receive instruction. And that word from the Hebrew that was used, it means if they are given insight. They already have God's wisdom, but I see how, as you mature, as you mature in the faith, the things of God, it takes on deeper meaning. But when the wise is instructed, when they are given insight, he receives knowledge. Ati naneliye jodila. Be ayichi. Acquire means to obtain or to acquire. Receives that knowledge, that godly knowledge. Verse 12, the righteous one considers the house of the wicked. This New American the New King James Version, the righteous God wisely considers the house of the wicked. He's the only righteous, true, holy God. Adonai considers. That word considers, it means to discern or gain insight. The wicked, the condemned criminal, turning the wicked to ruin. See, God's the one that does that. We see the outward actions possibly. But God looks at the inward parts of that person. See, God's the one that can determine that. We don't see the whole thing, the whole matter, but God does. The righteous one, He does. So He rightfully can turn and determine where they will go, where they will end up. Verse 13, he who shuts his ear to the cry of the poor will also cry himself. Because we've ignored a need and now take it. We know we've heard. So be careful how you live. Don't just ignore them. Help if you can. Because A gift in secret subdues anger. Anahund in a haida chaylieko. Chahut she'e aj iti janila. And a bribe in the bosom. Strong wrath. There's two different things. There's two different ways. Hajo kenahodot leh bin nachko haida hatat dihiki jo e asdo lehko be kenahodot leh. Nde shitchinahodot asdo di God anawit ake di yin la nan zenebits anjwa shato kut ego khano hachichin hot do ah bini ya peso ba his ni ego ajko e ya hot do ni janila. There's a difference. There's people that bribe to turn righteous judgment, the yindego, quick et ego, banachodot, ahane, yitsajago, beso adeni, ya, there's judgment that's going to come from God. Etigin, yitsadego, hihotni, bitadet. That word, strong wrath, nanigi, it's a fierce or a mighty anger, fury, or rage. The wrath of God is going to come. The wrath of God is going to come upon this earth. E a ni go tich ini e ade tin ti do li khashi digin to the do de ni zini. In that same way, bribe is to distort justice. Akot ego go beso khan chon to josh ego. The yin bit a quick it ego ne hot dot a habits argent con chance josh ego e a nego hot dot ni janila. Strong wrath. Verse 15, the exercise of justice is joy for the righteous. Anahui ahi digin God on nidi this go digin God with anini. That's what he calls righteous judgment. What God approves of digin God to the bit ani go big equanihuisti ah go. The nea kuki it at a. The ya bit da Jean Janila. It brings joy to the ones that know God and follow in righteousness. But is terror to the workers of iniquity. That word iniquity, it means ungodliness. Digin God kot enich nene do bit aj init ego bit de do bit an nene aj konich agago. That's why he calls iniquity. Ekot ego digin do de nizingo the ungodly conduct, the ungodly lifestyle. Ede yicht ehen eya betahod do di jonila. That word, that terror, niniki, from the Hebrew means to, that word that was used, it means to bring destruction or dismay. That's what it does for the people that have chosen to live without God. Verse 16. A man who wanders from the way of understanding. Dedian God be hot zamp benache inat or nito benache oho yitsaj that the yai the nen leni the enat yitsaj that the yai. That word wanders, it means to go astray. To deceive or to seduce. Khayahwini dlinko, what the loko. A what ego the yin God, bebe hot zampina tindo eben nache, ich has in bina kine, yo what it lost go. A what ego, what just ego. Will rest in the assembly of the dead. The netanes nani benike kehojit idol. It's crucial. Die bisen stai, die in God be hot zan, tseda bisen stai, tseda don nedebiden kar go. Ni in sin jugoyat etare. Khala bitsaj tatin yago nadin ago edo shishada denigo bit etahint ego khaine anone ginal dehi. Benike hon lolo de janila. Wow. Let's choose life. In Najako Sunday school lesson Yahon Neegi it ego. Choose this day. Choose to obey God. Don't choose to disobey. Nzone wat die in God bezaad. It don't need nachart anetnich. God's word divides what's good, what's right, what's not, what God disapproves of, what God doesn't want for us. Let's choose today life. To make good choices, to make godly choices.